We're back. Hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Tell me what you think of everything we are going to discuss here. It's time for the newspaper. The Standard is saying Paul Karua's big impact. A new survey commissioned by the Standard showing that Azimio's running mate Martha Karua is trusted in most regions to win more votes for Raila Odinga than UDA's Rigathi Gachagua will garner for William Ruto. Popularity contest there between the running mates. Of course, tell me what you think as well. The Daily Nation. Paul's battle of the IT gurus. This side of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga has Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of East African Data Handlers to head the Odinga camp at looking at the votes as they're coming in the National Tallying Center. And on the side of Kenya Kwanza, we have Davis Chirchir, who is going to ensure the safeguarding of votes for one DP Ruto. And of course, Davis Chirchir was in the side of Jubilee during the 2017 elections, having of course moved over to Ruto's wing. So we're going to have a look at that. It's on page 7 of the Daily Nation. The Business Daily, which I also have here on the table, M-Pesa Visa undercuts banks on foreign charges. The M-Pesa Visa virtual card is live for you on the M-Pesa app and also on the My Safaricom app. And this virtual card is at least affordable, or the rates are lower than what is there in currency payments through major banks like KCB, Equity. And I remember there was a time we spoke about central bank digital currency, of course, coming in, a discussion that was put out in the public by the Central Bank of Kenya to see what are your thoughts, public participation in seeing whether you should be having a central bank digital currency that ensures you get access to your bank or to your money directly to the CBK without using other banks. Is it the end of banks, commercial banks as we know it? What are they going to do to survive these times when we're also having micro lenders, apps, cryptocurrencies, and some of these alternative currencies that are looking to bypass commercial banks, and payment platforms that are, of course, cheaper than you having your money in commercial banks? Will they survive this? We're going to have a look at that as well. The Business Daily is concerned with matters of business. However, I'm not doing this alone. I'm joined here by Wakili Lungwe. I've decided to call you Wakili Lungwe. Sijui kama watu wengine wanakuita Wakili Lungwe, or what name do you go with?
Yes, of course you can call me Wakili. Because that's how we are called in Kiswahili. That is our name, Wakili.
All right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Richard.
I think you should introduce yourself because it's the first time. How long have you practiced? Nini, unajua?
Yes. Thank you, Richard. My name is Jackson Lungwe. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and I practice in my own name, Lungwe and Associates Advocate. I have been in this space not for a long time. Right. I got admitted into the bar last year, 2021, and by grace of God, I'm doing what I believe I was called to do.
Right.
Practicing law.
Right.
That is my calling.
So it's been your passion since, and it's still your passion?
Yes, it is. And not just my passion per se. It's something that I do in order to be able to achieve the things that I believe I'm supposed to achieve. Okay. Because I believe each one of us, Richard and any one of us, I believe that we have a calling on our lives, right, and it's incumbent upon us to ensure that we live that calling. Right. Yes.
Okay, someone else who has a calling is Martha Karua over at Mount Kenya. And a new survey here that we've been looking at, I'm sure you've also taken a look at these numbers. And the popularity contest, of course, did anyone expect Rigathi Gachagua to bring in more votes than Martha Karua from the Mount Kenya region? Or what do you see these numbers are looking like? Will Rigathi turn things around, or Martha Karua has Mount Kenya on chokehold, as they say on the internet?
Of course, if you talk about expectation, first of all, you need to understand that politics is partisan in nature. So those who chose Rigathi, definitely they expected him to bring numbers in.
Yeah.
So you can't rule out that. But again, one thing that you need to look at is that what are the factors that are going to be at play in these elections? Right. Because looking at these two individuals, Martha Karua and Rigathi Gachagua, honestly speaking, if you are to look at them in terms of what they have done, in terms of their credentials, in terms of their ability and the capability to deliver, it will be really hard to see how Rigathi Gachagua can beat Martha Karua.
Right.
Of course, you can bring in the the aspect of gender, and I believe that's what they were banking on. But if you are to put aside the issue of gender, which I believe surely should not be at play, I don't see on what front will Rigathi Gachagua beat Martha Karua.
There's a 21% of unknown people. Of course, the numbers here are saying that 30% running mates who are most likely to attract Mount Kenya votes. So 30% for Rigathi Gachagua, 49% for Martha Karua, 21% still unknown. If this survey is correct, is there a possibility of Rigathi and Ruto maybe going for that 21% and seeing maybe they can gain some edge?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Or those are still numbers for Karua that she hasn't.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so, Richard, for a simple reason. You see, upon the appointment of Martha Karua as the DP nominee for Azimio One Kenya Lands, you could see that there was a steady and drastic shift of popularity and support from the DP side to the side of the Azimio.
Right.
And that shift, in my assessment, has been really continuous. And I don't think there is anything right now which Kenya Kwanza can do to reverse it.
Right.
It's a steady decline on their side. Of course, it's a bad thing, but it is what it is. And they have to contend with it for now up to election, unless something really happens.
Right.
Dramatically.
Something that can people are looking forward to, of course, is the presidential debate, and the DP's showdown will take place earlier on July 19th at the same venue. So we're expecting, of course, DP Ruto's side. That is as Kenya Kwanza, of course, already said that they might not be taking part in this presidential debate. If they do not show up, are we expecting a loss of even further hold or whatever numbers that they currently have? Because Ruto said he may not show up for this debate, so I do not expect Rigathi Gachagua to also show up at all. And this is a story, of course, that is tied next year to this poll on page 7 of this paper this morning. What do you see is going to come out of this presidential debate?
Richard, from my end, I think what will be more interesting is the deputy presidential debate, because look at it this way. Truth be told, what is at stake in this election is Mount Kenya.
Yeah.
Mount Kenya right now is the bride. People know Ruto, people know Raila Odinga, so there is nothing really new. They want to hear from them. They know what they stand for, they know what they can do, they know what they have done before, and therefore people will be looking at these two individuals, Martha Karua and Rigathi Gachagua, who represent the bride.
All right.
In this contest, which is Mount Kenya. And you know, in terms of their resume, if you are to look at it that way, what each one of them has done in terms of their political career and other spaces like civil society space and human rights agenda, I think it will be very difficult to anticipate a situation where Rigathi Gachagua beats Martha Karua.
Right. And that DP showdown is going to take place on July 19th, and that is preparation for the July 26th presidential debate, which will be happening at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, Kwea, in Karen, Nairobi. There will also be a gubernatorial debate, but let's just speak on that once we get to Sonko and Sakaja. However, on this presidential debate, politics of unga. I was taking a look at the Daily Nation from yesterday, and now the price of unga is of 2 kg. Of course, we all know is now way above 200, and most Kenyans want solutions to some of these woes. And I was having a look at whether both sides are having, taking a look at the cost of living, which is the biggest issue to Kenyans so far. Will this be the center stage of this debate, or are we going to see a politics of are we going to witness politics of opinion and smearing of legacy and such? Because what we have observed for the past 2 weeks is words coming from Raila's camp, from Ruto's camp, from Uhuru himself as well. Will this debate be useful at all? We might be heading towards a debate that will be just a showdown between people just weighing their egos.
It will, certainly it will. I can tell you 100% it will be useful, because you see, cost of living is a live issue and it touches on almost every person. And you see, the way I look at it is in this sense, it is not just the face value of the cost of living. I think Kenyans right now are brilliant enough to go behind it and see what it actually entails. And I believe it will be foolish, so to speak, for anyone to buy promises that these politicians are dishing around, saying, oh, we'll reduce this. Because if you take a keen look at it, you realize that this is not the first time prices of basic commodities are skyrocketing in the run-up to
an election. Right.
We have had this thing in 2017, and we have leaders currently who are in the office who promise the same thing, that once we take over, we are going to reduce. I remember there is also, and you see, the internet doesn't forget. There are some leaders who promised to bring it to as low as 60 per 2 kg packet. That has never happened. And they are coming again, they are coming up again with the same promises. So I think it will be incumbent upon us as voters to look at it in this sense. One, what causes the prices of common commodities to skyrocket? Number one. Number two, what is the long-term solution to it? And from where I sit, I think war against corruption is one area whereby we can tap into to manage these things. Okay. Because the reason why these things are really going up, of course, apart from inflation, which is a common thing, there is war in Ukraine, disruption of supply of basic commodities, inflation coming in. All these factors play hand in hand to ensure, or rather to cause, the increase in cost of living. But also there is this aspect of corruption. Right. So I think electorate should be looking at this politician in terms of who among these guys can really deal with the issue of corruption. Because once you fix corruption, once you fix the plunder of public resources, once you fix this runaway corruption, then you will be able to address a lot of issues and challenges, including the high cost of living.
So Kenyans should not be taking a look at whether someone is going to give promises on, oh, tutapunguza hii, tutapunguza ile, subsidies.
No. They shouldn't take that on
take a look at the root cause.
Face value. No.
Right. The Standard has a very interesting cartoon there in the opinion section where, of course, they're portraying here a cartoon of Raila and DP Ruto as well. And they're saying, my government will give funding to single mothers, widows, young people, Jua Kali. The other side, they're saying they're going to give provide funding for young hustlers, mamambogas, struggling businesses. Of course, all these being promises, and as you said, they should not be taking a look at that on face value. The question is, how can we get affordable loans? How can we get quality healthcare, lower taxes, a working judiciary, good security, accountable state officers, and of course, how do we deal with the plunder of resources, right? Public resources, to ensure that, of course, everyone else is getting an equitable share, as is a right of you as a taxpayer in the country. So let's hopefully...
yes. And on that, maybe before you leave that, I think it's very important for me to point out one thing. When it comes to taking care of our society, you need to appreciate that as per our constitution, we are not purely a capitalist state.
Right.
We are quasi-capitalist, quasi-socialist. What do I mean by that? I mean that in as much as we talk about investment and people doing business, which we really need as young people, it is important to talk about also of how you are going to take care of people who cannot get employment, people who are beyond the age of being employed. There are people in this country, because of their age, because of their learning, because of lack of expertise, they can't actually get a job, they can't do business. So how do you address those issues and concerns? And that's why the aspect of perhaps direct monthly payment comes in, because we have people who are in 60s, they didn't get education, right? They don't have expertise, they can't do business,
and now technology
and they want they want assistance and intervention of the government now, not tomorrow. Right. It's not about creating conducive environment for them. And I think those are the people who are being targeted by 6,000 monthly stipend, which now takes care of the aspect of the socialist nature of our country.
All right.
Yes,
so we do have that side, of course, where we need to, and also technology has advanced in a way that most of those that you've mentioned might not be able to catch up or to get, employment or to get services because they're not technologically savvy. Right. And you can take a look at the Standard on page 7, where a poll conducted by Tifa Research shows that 51% of those polled cited high cost of living as the area they feel the next president should prioritize. So when you're going to have a look at the July 26th presidential debate, angalia ni nani, and take a look at the root cause of the high cost of living. Take a look at that story and then tell us also what you think. Of course, high cost of living scoring the highest as one of Jubilee government's biggest failures. The high cost of living has really tainted and gone above corruption, which means corruption being the root cause, as wakili amesema, it should be taken a look at. Tukasema kuna gubernatorial debate, right? The Nairobi governor's debate will be one that starts, and it's going to be happening through this secretariat that is also moderating the presidential debate. Devolution is becoming important in the country, and now we are getting to a point where governors can also now come and present what they think their manifestos are, if I may call them that, because they're also leading a small government of their own.
Yeah, it's important, before maybe you proceed further, I say this. You see, devolution is not just becoming important. It has shocked a lot of people. You see, at the beginning, when the devolved system of governance was being rolled out at, I believe it was 2013, a lot of people used to think that this was just another system of what we used to call the local government.
Right.
But right now, after 10 years of devolution, I think people are beginning to appreciate that this is just a government. In as much as it might not have the military, in as much as it might not have the police, but in terms of delivery, in terms of controlling resources, in terms of creating employment, in terms of providing social services at local level, it does a tremendous work. And that's why now a lot of people are really shifting attention to see what happens at the county level.
Right. Hopefully this brings accountability. It hasn't for the presidential debates, but I think governors now coming in for the first time, this should be, bring interest all across the country. Catch those. The Nairobi Governors Debate will have 2 tiers, so make sure that you're catching those as well. And the Secretariat already announced that. Check out on page 7 still of the Standard. Now, while we're still on governors and in Nairobi, 2 of the leaders of Nairobi County, one current Senator Sakaja, of course, having issues with his degree, verifying his degree. And before I go further, I would say that if your degree needs to be verified by so many people, it probably does not exist. Does it?
It's an interesting thing, because you see, somebody said, and I think I agreed with him 100%, that a degree is like pregnancy. You can't hide. I mean, if you went to school, Richard, I went to school with you, I mean, and you see myself being persecuted or paraded somewhere, and went to the same class.
Like I was with this guy.
Yeah, people will be coming out say, oh, I went to the same class with the Richard. What's happening with him?
Right.
But here, where you reach to a point whereby you have to fight for it, you see, it raises a lot of questions. And I see, if you were to proceed, you'd see that the issue of Sakaja has taken a very difficult and dramatic angle, whereby the body, which is mandated, you see, to validate his degree, has made a determination that the degree is not valid. And therefore, it doesn't matter what IBC says. It doesn't matter what the court might say at the preliminary level. Because you see, that role, that mandate by CUTV cannot be taken away by IBC.
Right.
IBC can make a determination based on what we call the prima facie evidence, what is presented, that it believes this degree is genuine. But once a statutory body, a body created by the law to validate a degree, especially those coming from foreign university, makes a determination that that degree is not authentic, then that is the end of it.
The Electoral Commission yesterday told the court that it is not required by law to verify whether aspirants have submitted authentic documents before clearing them. So the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission said that the agency believed Sakaja presented an authentic certificate from Team University. However, still cases there, of course, facing Sakaja, and it's still not clear, because now the ballot papers they've been allowed to continue printing ballot papers as his case is still determined. While we're sticking on Sakaja and Nairobi, because that's where we're going to, what does it say about the state of the capital city and the country at large when the capital city, 2 of the prime in leadership. That is the senator who's currently trying to become the governor, and the ex-governor who was impeached, also trying to become governor in a different county and also facing issues there. What does it say about our leadership? Is it an issue of voters, or do we not have enough leaders to just have as alternatives to these two?
Of course, it speaks volume of the integrity and the quality of leadership that we have given unto ourselves. But it also speaks of the challenges that come with the enforcing leadership and integrity chapter of our constitution. Because if, for example, you were to look at the issue of Sonko, I mean, the law is, on that aspect alone, I believe the law is quite explicit, black and white. If you look at, for example, Article 75 of our constitution, it talks of once you have been removed from the office, you have been dismissed or removed for violation of the constitution, then you are barred from occupying any state office.
Right.
You are barred unless you appeal the impeachment. For example, if in the case of Sonko, which he did not do that, or the decision is overturned by another body. For example, you have been convicted and you challenge that at the appellate level, and the decision is overturned by that court. Without doing that, you are permanently barred. It doesn't matter how many courts you run into. It doesn't matter. So the issue of Sonko here, I believe, is done and dusted. His fate is sealed.
But he's been given a lifeline here. You're saying that will not be enough.
No, it doesn't. You see, this lifeline is in respect to the petition and I believe the cases that he has in court. For example, the issue of corruption and integrity. These are the criminal things which is being pursued by EACC and DCI. You see, the court can save you from them. But the issue of impeachment alone,
that's already done.
He sealed his fate. Sealed his fate.
What does he speak of Wiper Party? When a few days ago, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka came out to say that Sonko will be on the ballot. Mark my words. That's what he said. However, Wiper had already fielded a new candidate for the Mombasa governor race. Is there confusion in that party, or are they just playing several cards to see which one works?
It's politics 101, of course, if you were to ask me. Kalonzo, I believe, he strongly believes that Sonko has a following, and he really needs Sonko's following in order to have some leverage or bargaining power within the Azimio coalition. And as such, I think it was up to him to show that Sonko is his guy and Sonko supporters are his supporters. And of course, it puts him in a very difficult situation in terms of integrity, because if you had to look at now the top brass of Azimio, the former Prime Minister and Martha Karua, those are people who are standing on the platform of integrity and leadership. So once you start fighting for people like Honorable Sonko, then it puts you out of the discussion from that class.
Right. As then maybe Martha Karua has overshadowed the big presence of Kalonzo Musyoka at this point. If he's
definitely, you need to appreciate that right now, as we speak, Martha Karua is number 2. If anything was to happen to the former Prime Minister, definitely will be taking the first position. I mean, and it goes without saying that as such, Kalonzo will be down under him. Yeah, it's not a secret. It's not a secret, I believe.
On page 10 of the Daily Nation, the candidates that we rarely speak about, that is one Agano Party presidential candidate, David Mwaure Waihiga. Here with his running mate, of course, the last ones to launch their manifesto at Office Park in Nairobi yesterday. Is this guy serious, or are we not taking him seriously?
I believe he's serious.
I don't hear anyone speaking about
One thing I believe is serious.
Yeah.
Second thing I believe is it's tragic for him because there is no space. There is no space. The stage is full and the political territories have been taken by the two guys. And for him, it's really bad. It's too late, too little. There's little he can do about it. He might be having very brilliant ideas. You can't deny that. He might be having a very profound vision.
Why are we not listening?
Where the country is supposed to go.
Why are we not listening to him?
There's no space. You see, the space is taken.
The stage, so he's shouting from the corner of the stage.
You might have a brilliant idea, but there's no room for him right now. There's no room. There's no vacant position for him in our political arena. And he has to, you see, to do something really dramatic and drastic if he wants to get attention. And that, I believe, that is what this other candidate for the Roots Party did.
Oh, Jacoya.
You have to come up with very weird ideas so that you catch attention. Otherwise, you will be forgotten. I mean, no one will talk about you.
Right.
Yes,
Come through
yes.
with populist agendas, lakini bado still works in your favor. So if you want to vote for David Mwaure Wahiga, you can take a look at his manifesto at a glance here on page 10 of the Daily Nation, where it's anchored on 12 pledges to Kenyans that they would do to badilisha the country. So you have a look at those 12 pillars touching on family, youth, county governments, business workers, and all of that, and what he will do in terms of revenue allocation and, of course, health issues, NHIF, and all of that. He has is I think the third candidate with it's DP side is the only one that doesn't have a female running mate.
And that one speaks of I don't know, it creates a very unique and bad dichotomy, which I believe DP wouldn't want to accept, because it speaks of the fact that all presidential candidates except him appreciate the role that women plays in our the role that women play in our politics, and the role that they ought to take in the governance of our country.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. On the top of the Daily Nation, polls the battle of the IT gurus, a story that is there on page 7. The electoral body, of course, banking, or both of these sides, Azimio side, the biggest sides, that is Azimio side and also Kenya Kwanza side, banking on information technology to safeguard their votes. Are our polls safe this time, Wakili?
You see, this
last time
I don't
Maraga nullified the election, saying, of course, transmission was not effective. This time, will we have same case, or
we are likely to have an improved way in which the elections will be managed? Because if you look at, for example, the headline, actually this should not be news. It shouldn't be news, because if you look at the way the presidential petitions of 2017 was handled and the basis upon which the same was nullified, we realize that it was largely IT aspect, because it revolved around transmission.
Yeah.
So if IBC was to correct the mistakes that they made previously, then they need to look at the aspect of IT and transmission. And again, you see people still talking of open the server. This is an indication that IT right now plays a very important role in election. And if you are keen, for example, if you are any of these two main contenders, you need to be looking at the way you can secure your elections, or rather your votes, in terms of having a team which is a techno-savvy, a team which knows what happens. And for example, in the event whereby you lose an election and you have the view that you need to challenge that, then you need to have these IT people on your forefront. Because elections, as we said and as we have seen before, it will revolve around IT. It will revolve around technology, it will revolve around transmission of results, it will revolve around identification, biometric identification of voters, it will revolve around voter. Right now there is a battle and contestation around the digital versus the manual.
And they're saying that
those are the things that are going to influence.
The manual register is going to pave way for guys who will not vote but made to vote. So should we still have a manual register that will align whatever else is done in digital transmission?
I don't think that argument is entirely correct, because the law allows that. The law says that we need to have a complementary system. It's like a backup system, a system that keeps there. You see, these are two systems which are supposed to keep each other in check, so that you use electronic system, but that system is counter-checked with the manual system. And DP
Ruto is saying that we should do pure electronic voting.
You see, that is the tragedy. That is the tragedy of these guys, and that is the tragedy of politics. You see, given the bipolar nature of politics, the tragedy of it is that what one candidate proposes, another one is bound to oppose without even looking at it. Yes, because you see, DP Ruto, I can tell you for sure, is at a place where the former prime minister has been 3 times.
Yeah.
So Raila is not just speaking for the sake of speaking. He has borne the brand of an electoral process which is characterized by opaqueness. He has borne the brand of flawed elections. And therefore, when he speaks about these things, he's not just speaking for political sake. He has been there. He knows these other guys, his opponents. This is the first time they're in this scenario. Because truth be told, in as much as DP is the current DP, but he's running as a de facto opposition candidate.
Right.
Yes.
That's true.
He's running as a de facto opposition candidate. And Raila knows that where this fella is he has been there.
Right.
3 times.
Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate William Ruto had initially cast his lot with Azimio's side, who had said, hey, let's relax those, electronic voter registration position that IBC had taken earlier as a sole document for identifying voters. However, once he realized that Raila was also supporting the same thing, as you said, automatically switched to opposition and now said, no, I'm not with that guy. Let's do pure electronic voting. I'd love to hear what you think, by the way, whether we should also have a manual register just right next to the electronic voting or transmission of polls. Azimio side saying that the electoral body has been reluctant, of course, to provide a list of all the polling stations, details of connectivity and whatnot, and that's where that issue of kufungua server came in. Should we fungua server after the elections?
After the election? No. After the election, in respect to the forthcoming elections?
Yeah, this forthcoming one.
2017. Because I remember there are people who are still looking backward. But it's important we let the bygone be bygone. And I believe these elections are going to be for 2 reasons. Of course, I have many reasons, but I will give you 2. I believe they are going to be fairly fair. For number 1, I believe that people who are now close, you can so speak, people who are close to, as it were, the machinery that can rig you in, are people who really believe in free and fair election. You see, right. So people who have access to the, so to speak, state machinery, machinery are people who have suffered the burden of unfair election. So I think it would be their interest and to keep in consistency with what they have stood for all this time to ensure that elections are free and fair. Right. Number 2, I also believe that coming from the background of a nullified presidential election, I believe the management body, IBC, will be more cautious, will be more diligent, and will be more informed from the hindsight in ensuring that elections are conducted in accordance with the dictates of the Constitution. All right.
They're drawing blood as well. Words being thrown from Ruto's side, audio recordings being shown to the public, insults coming left, right, center. Is this politics? Is this how politics is, Wakili, or is it?
Yeah, it's politics.
Is this personal now?
It's politics. There's nothing personal here. It's politics, but to me, it also brings out another aspect which I believe it's important for electorate to capture. You see, if you listen to that so-called video recording, you can see here there is a tone of somebody who believes that he has to get it at all cost. Whether hell break loose, it doesn't matter. You have to get, and you see, it creates now, right now, especially when the time when President Kenyatta is exiting, it creates a character of President Kenyatta as somebody who is very considerate, somebody who listens to the ground, somebody who listens to the suffering of the people, and somebody who is willing to let go for the sake of the country. And that one now creates another dichotomy between him and his DP. DP being brought out as somebody who wants it at all cost. You see,
right?
And I believe with that is also another baggage on his candidature in this race.
All right. So those are our thoughts and what we are looking at to see, whether this is getting personal or politics will just. Ikifika August 9th, kwenda mbele kila mtu aende nyumbani anawe mkono. Business Daily has, of course, that story on NSE giving a bounce back. So it's still really good time for you to invest in stock, as he's now made a turnaround when foreign investors jumped ship, and now we have stocks plummeting, and you can now invest as well. Local investors coming back up, and that dip is now no longer have a dip in the market capitalization standing at
But you see,
2 trillion.
Richard, on that also speaks to the cost of living, because you see, citizens might be so simplistic at looking at these things, because if you look at most of these big guys who control our stock exchange, our securities market, these are the people who create employment. For me, as an advocate, where I sit, for example, during this season, we witness a lot of cases of people who are laid off during the pandemic.
Right.
And you see that has the spiral effect of that is that the cost of living is going to go up. And therefore, it is something that we really need to look into it. Especially the incoming government has to create conducive environment so that not just to retain those who are there, the investors who are here, but also to attract others. So that, for example, if you look at the money that goes through our securities exchange, it's huge. It controls the better part of our economy. And therefore, it's really important that the incoming government looks into that. With the purposes of creating an enabling environment
for these businesses,
for the businesses and for the investors.
All right, 8:32 in the morning. Okay, Lungwe, asante sana. I know there are many stories here we can have a look at, but I really needed to get your keen opinion on matters of politics, especially. I don't know if there's a story of interest to you that maybe we might have left out before we wrap up this segment and continue with hashtag Biashara Tuesday. As you take a look at that, if you might not have a story, I love for you to read us that quote at the back of the Business Daily.
Just read it.
Yes, just read it out to us.
He said, I read, "Be brave, take risks. Nothing can be substitute. Nothing can substitute experience." Paulo Coelho.
Right. Be brave, take risks. Nothing can substitute experience.
It's very, very important, especially to young people, because you see, life is about taking risks. Somebody says that if you don't risk, you can't grow, and if you can't grow, you can't become your best, and if you can't become your best, you can't be happy, and if you can't be happy, then what else is there for you?
What is there to do?
So it's about taking risk. Life is all about risk taking.
Right. Let's talk about you as we close up. Your firm, what services do you offer, at least for guys who might wacha tuongea na wakili, tutapata nani wakili wapi na atatusaidia namna gani?
Yeah.
I'll give you this camera for you to shine with it.
Okay, thank you, Richard, for the opportunity. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I largely, as an advocate, we sell legal services, and I take advantage of the energy that comes with the youth, the determination, the passion, and the ambition to go beyond what perhaps most of a person of my level would go, in terms of ensuring that everything I do is something that is going to be of value to the people. Because you see, in the arena of selling services, whether legal or other services, you have to make a difference. You have to make a difference in terms of what you do, in terms of the people that you serve, in terms of people who interact with you. So that is my drive, that is my passion, and that is something that I really look forward to in terms of making a difference, not just in the legal arena, but in the society as a whole. Because I really believe that law is not an end in itself. Legal practice is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. It's a means to the end.
Okay. Jackson, thank you very much, and I hope we can have you again here. Tuangalie tena mambo ingine some other time.
And thank you, Richard. I'm very grateful.
All right. Miss Mariam Maina, who is the manager, corporate communications, Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, is coming to have a conversation with me, as I said earlier on a peace campaign that they're launching ahead of the August polls. How do violent polls affect tourism, workers, workforce, and all of that? We're ensuring that we are trying to make sure that we are preaching a peaceful electioneering period. So tune into that. That is coming right up. Hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Remember, conversation on the role of tech in growing the economy is also coming up with Yahya Otieno. So send in your questions. We are live, KUTV Kenya on Facebook, KUTV Kenya live on YouTube. Tag me at Richard_Kenya, and I'll be right back.
So